The sky above New Busan turned black as coal, and Taiho knew they were in trouble. He ran toward the colony shelter as fast as his legs could carry him, while lightning crashed all around the small human settlement. The electrical storms on this planet were not like the gentle rains back on Earth that his parents told him about. These storms could kill a person in seconds if they got caught outside without protection. Tae-ho reached the metal door of his family shelter, just as the first real bolt of lightning hit the ground near the colony water tanks. The thunder was so loud it made his ears ring and his teeth hurt. He pulled hard on the heavy door handle, but the wind was pushing against it with incredible force. His mother, Mi-young, appeared at the door and helped him get inside before the storm got worse. "Where have you been?" she asked him as she locked the thick metal door behind them. "Your father sent you to check the power lines 2 hours ago, and you should have been back before the storm warning came through the radio." Tae-ho wiped rain and sweat from his face with his sleeve. His dark hair was soaked and sticking to his forehead. "The power lines were fine, but I saw something strange near the outer fence and went to look at it. There were strange metal pieces scattered around like something had crashed, but I could not find what made them." His father Dong-soo looked up from the control panel where he was monitoring the storm. The older man had worry lines around his eyes, and his hands moved quickly over the buttons and switches. "You should not have gone near the fence during storm warning. The barriers might fail if lightning hits them wrong, and then we would have no protection from the radiation outside." The small shelter shook as another lightning bolt hit somewhere close to them. Through the thick windows they could see the purple and white light show outside. The electrical storms on New Busan were beautiful but deadly. They happened almost every month and lasted for hours. During storms like this one, nothing could survive outside the protective barriers that surrounded the human colony. Mi-young moved to the small kitchen area of the shelter and started preparing food for the family. She was a practical woman who had learned to stay calm during emergencies. As the colony medic, she had seen what the storms could do to anyone caught outside. "The radio said this storm will last at least 6 hours. We should eat something and try to rest." Tae-ho sat down at the small table, but he could not stop thinking about the metal pieces he had found. They were not like anything the colony used for buildings or equipment. The metal had a strange purple color and felt warm, even though it was raining. He had never seen anything like it in his 16 years of life on New Busan. Another huge lightning bolt hit very close to their shelter, and all the lights went out for a few seconds. When the emergency power came back on, Dong-soo was checking the communication system. "The main colony radio is not working. We are cut off from the other families until the storm passes." This was not unusual during bad storms, but it always made everyone nervous. New Busan had only 300 human settlers, and they depended on each other for survival. The colony was far from Earth and far from any other human settlements. If something bad happened, they would have to deal with it alone. Tae-ho was looking out the window at the storm when he saw something that made his heart stop. There was a shape moving near the outer fence. At first, he thought it might be debris, blown by the wind, but then he realized it was too big and moving too slowly. It looked like a person crawling on the ground. "Father, there is someone outside," he said, pointing toward the window. "Near the fence where I found the metal pieces." Dong-soo came to look, and his face went pale. "That is impossible. Nothing can survive out there during a storm like this. You must be seeing shadows or debris." But Tae-ho was sure of what he saw. The shape was definitely a person, and they were in trouble. Without thinking about the danger, he moved toward the door. "I have to help them." "No," said both his parents at the same time. Mi-young grabbed his arm. "Tae-ho, you cannot go out there. The radiation and lightning will kill you in minutes." "But someone is dying out there," he said. "I can see them trying to crawl toward the barriers. If I do not help them, they will die for sure." Dong-soo shook his head. "Son, I know you want to help, but it is too dangerous. We cannot risk losing you for someone who might already be dead." Tae-ho looked at his parents and saw the fear in their eyes. They had already lost so much coming to this dangerous planet. His older brother had died in an accident 2 years ago, and his parents were terrified of losing another child. But he also knew that if he did nothing, an innocent person would die just outside their safe shelter. The shape outside moved again, and Tae-ho could see it was definitely alive. The person was small and seemed to be badly hurt. Lightning was hitting the ground all around them, but somehow they were still moving toward the colony barriers. "I am going," Tae-ho said, and moved toward the door before his parents could stop him. "I will be fast and careful. The emergency suit will protect me for a short time." He grabbed the radiation suit from the emergency locker and started putting it on as quickly as possible. The suit was heavy and awkward, but it would keep him alive outside for maybe 30 minutes during a storm. His parents argued with him, but he could see in their eyes that they understood why he had to go. Mi-young helped him seal the suit properly while tears ran down her face. "If you are going to do this stupid thing, then do it right. Check the seals twice and do not stay out there longer than 20 minutes. Promise me." "I promise," he said and kissed her cheek through the helmet visor. Dong-soo handed him a portable medical kit and a strong rope. "If this person is hurt, you will need these things. Tie the rope around both of you so you do not get separated in the storm." Tae-ho took a deep breath and opened the shelter door. The storm hit him like a physical blow. The wind was so strong it almost knocked him down, and the noise was incredible. Lightning was hitting the ground every few seconds, and the air smelled like burning metal. He could barely see through the rain and electrical discharge, but he knew which direction to go. Step by step, he fought his way toward the outer fence where he had seen the person. The radiation suit was already getting hot, and he could feel sweat running down his back. Every lightning bolt made him jump, but he kept moving forward. When he reached the fence, he saw her clearly for the first time. It was definitely a female, but she was not human. Her skin was a pale blue color and her hair was silver white. She was wearing some kind of damaged armor, and there was dark liquid that might be blood pooling around her. Her eyes were closed, and she was not moving anymore. Tae-ho knelt down beside her and checked for signs of life. She was breathing, but very weakly. Her skin felt cold even through his suit gloves. Without hesitation, he tied the rope around both of them and lifted her as carefully as possible. She was lighter than he expected, but still awkward to carry in the storm. The trip back to the shelter felt like it took forever. Lightning hit the ground just meters away from them twice, and Tae-ho was sure they were both going to die. But somehow, they made it to the door where his parents were waiting. Dong-soo helped pull them both inside while Mi-young prepared the medical area. As soon as the door was sealed, Tae-ho took off his helmet and looked at the strange girl he had rescued. She was definitely not human, but she was also clearly intelligent and civilized. Her armor was made with advanced technology and her features were almost human, except for the blue skin and silver hair. "What have you brought into our home?" whispered Dong-soo as he stared at the alien girl. Mi-young was already checking her injuries with professional medical attention. "She is badly hurt but alive. We need to help her regardless of what she is." Tae-ho nodded as he removed the rest of his radiation suit. Outside, the storm continued to rage, but inside their small shelter, 3 humans were about to change the course of galactic history by showing kindness to a stranger from the stars. The alien girl slept for 3 days while the storm raged outside, and Mi-young worked to save her life. Tae-ho stayed close to watch over their strange guest while his mother cleaned and bandaged the worst injuries. The girl had several deep cuts on her arms and legs and what looked like burn marks from some kind of energy weapon. Her breathing was shallow, and sometimes she made soft sounds in her sleep that might have been words in an unknown language. Dong-soo spent most of his time at the communication equipment trying to contact the colony leaders. The storm had damaged many systems, and it would be days before they could send messages to other settlements. He was worried about what would happen when the authorities learned about their alien visitor. Humans had been in space for less than 100 years, and contact with other intelligent species was still very rare and carefully controlled. On the morning of the 4th day, Tae-ho was sitting beside the medical bed reading an old book. When the girl opened her eyes, he almost dropped the book in surprise when he saw that her eyes were a deep purple color, unlike anything he had ever seen. She looked around the small shelter with confusion and fear until her gaze settled on his face. "Please, do not be afraid," Tae-ho said softly. "You are safe here. My family found you outside during the storm and brought you inside to help you." The girl stared at him for a long moment and then spoke in perfect Korean. "You speak the tongue of Earth humans. I understand your words clearly." Tae-ho was shocked that she could speak his language. "How do you know Korean? Are there other humans where you come from?" She tried to sit up but winced in pain from her injuries. Mi Young appeared quickly and gently pushed her back down onto the bed. "You must rest," his mother said. "Your wounds are still healing and you lost much blood." The alien girl looked at Mi Young with surprise and gratitude. "You are a healer. You saved my life when you could have left me to die in the storm. This is a great kindness to show to a stranger." "Any decent person would have done the same thing," Mi Young replied as she checked the bandages. "My son Tai-ho was the one who found you and brought you here. He risked his own life to save yours." The girl turned her purple eyes back to Tai-ho with an expression he could not understand. "You went into the storm to rescue me? Why would you risk yourself for someone you do not know?" Tai-ho felt embarrassed by the attention. "I saw that you needed help. I could not just watch you die when I might be able to save you. Anyone would have done the same thing." "No," the girl said quietly. "Not anyone would have done such a thing. Many would have watched from safety and done nothing. You have shown great courage and honor." Dong-soo came over to join the conversation. He had been listening from across the room and his face showed both curiosity and concern. "We are glad you are alive, but we need to understand who you are and how you came to be on our planet. We have never seen your kind before." The girl was quiet for a moment as if deciding how much to tell them. Finally, she spoke with a serious voice. "My name is Rina, and I am the daughter of Supreme War Chief Kang Min, who rules the Vorthak Empire. I was traveling with my guard escort when our ship was attacked by pirates near this system. My personal craft was damaged in the battle and crashed on your world during the storm." The three humans stared at her in complete silence. Tai-ho felt his mouth go dry as he realized what she had just told them. They had rescued the daughter of an alien ruler, the daughter of someone who commanded armies and starships and probably controlled entire star systems. "A princess," Mi Young whispered. "We have been caring for an alien princess." Rina shook her head. "Not a princess in the way you understand. Among the Vorthak there are no kings or queens. My father leads because he is the strongest warrior and the wisest commander. I am his daughter, but I must earn my own rank through skill and honor." Dong-soo sat down heavily in a chair. "This is much bigger than we thought. If you are the daughter of a ruler, then your people will be looking for you. They might think we kidnapped you or hurt you." "No," Rina said firmly. "They will know that I crashed during battle. When they find me here, they will see that humans showed me great kindness. This creates what we call a debt of honor." "What does that mean?" asked Tai-ho. Rina looked at him with those strange purple eyes. "In Vorthak culture, when someone saves your life, you owe them a debt that must be repaid. This debt is sacred and cannot be ignored. By saving my life, you have created a bond between us that will last until the debt is properly honored." Mi Young frowned. "We do not want any payment. We helped you because it was the right thing to do." "That makes the debt even greater," Rina explained. "You acted without thought of reward. You risked your own life for mine when you gained nothing from it. This is the highest form of honor among my people." Tai-ho was starting to understand that his simple act of kindness had created something much larger than he intended. "What kind of debt are you talking about? What does this mean for my family?" "It means that you and your family are now under the protection of the Vorthak Empire," Rina said. "My father will consider any attack on you to be an attack on our own people. But more than that, it means I personally owe you a life debt that can only be repaid through great service or sacrifice." Dong-soo looked worried. "We are simple colonists. We do not want to be involved in alien politics or wars. We just want to live in peace and raise our families, I understand," Rina said. "But honor debts are not something we choose. They exist whether we want them or not. When my father arrives, he will want to meet the human who saved his daughter and earned such a debt." "Your father is coming here?" Mi Young asked with alarm. "The Vorthak fleet will search every world in this system until they find me," Rina replied. "They will arrive soon, and when they do, they will want to understand what happened. You must be prepared to meet the Supreme War Chief of the Vorthak." Empire Tai-ho felt his stomach turn cold. He had imagined meeting many things in his life, but never an alien military commander who ruled an empire. What should we expect? Will he be angry? Will he think we are lying about what happened? Rena smiled for the first time since waking up. My father is a fair and honorable leader. He will see the truth of what you did, and he will respect you for it. The Vorthak value courage and kindness above all other qualities. You have shown both. Over the next 2 days, while they waited for the Vorthak ships to arrive, Rena told them about her people and their culture. The Vorthak Empire controlled dozens of star systems and had been spacefaring for thousands of years. They were warriors, but they were also builders and explorers. Honor was the most important thing in their society, and breaking an honor debt was considered worse than murder. She also learned about human culture and was fascinated by their history. She had heard of humans but had never met any before. Most aliens considered humans to be a young and weak species that would probably destroy themselves before becoming important in galactic politics. Your people are wrong about humans, she told Tejo as they sat by the window watching for ships in the sky. I have seen human courage and human kindness. These are qualities that make a species strong, not weak. Tejo was grateful for her words, but he was still nervous about meeting her father. Everything he had heard about the Vorthak made them sound like incredibly powerful and possibly dangerous aliens. What if they decided that humans were a threat? What if saving Rena had actually put his entire colony in danger? On the 6th day, after the storm ended, they saw lights in the sky that were definitely not natural. 3 huge ships appeared above New Busan colony and settled into orbit around the planet. Each ship was larger than the entire human settlement, and their hull design looked both beautiful and threatening. They have found us, Rena said with excitement and relief. My father has come as I knew he would. Dongsu was monitoring the colony communication system when it suddenly came alive with messages in an alien language. Then a voice spoke in perfect Korean. This is the Vorthak Imperial Fleet. We are searching for our lost daughter Rena. We know she is somewhere on this world, and we demand that she be returned unharmed. Rena quickly moved to the communication device. This is Rena, daughter of Kang Min. I am alive and well. I am with human colonists who saved my life and showed me great kindness. Request immediate meeting with my father. The response came quickly. Acknowledge Princess Rena. Preparing. Landing craft for immediate retrieval. Is your location secure? Yes, father. The humans who rescued me are named Taiho Dongsu and Myung. They have earned a sacred debt of honor through their courage and kindness. I request full honors for their service. There was a long pause before the voice replied. Understood, daughter. Full diplomatic honors will be observed. Landing in 1 hour. Tejo looked at his family and saw the same mixture of fear and wonder that he felt. In 1 hour they would meet the leader of an alien empire. Their simple life on a frontier world was about to change forever, and there was no way to know if it would be for better or worse. The landing craft that descended from the Vorthak ships was unlike anything the humans of New Busan had ever seen. It was 3 times larger than their biggest colonial transport and seemed to float through the air without making any sound. The hull was made of the same purple metal that Taiho had found scattered near the fence, and it gleamed like polished stone in the afternoon sunlight. Taiho stood with his parents and Rena outside their shelter, watching the alien ship land in the center of the colony. All around them, other colonists had come out of their homes to witness this historic moment. Some looked excited, but most appeared frightened by the massive warships hanging in their sky. Remember to show respect, but do not bow or kneel, Rena advised them quietly. My father respects strength and dignity. Look him in the eyes when you speak and tell the truth. The Vorthak can sense lies, and it would be very dangerous to deceive him. The landing craft settled onto the ground with barely a whisper of sound, and a ramp extended from its side. Tejo held his breath as figures began to emerge from the ship. The first was clearly a soldier wearing heavy armor and carrying a weapon that looked like it could destroy buildings. More soldiers followed, creating a protective formation around the ramp. Then came the most impressive alien Tejo had ever imagined. Supreme War Chief Kang Min was enormous even by Vorthak standards. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, and his blue skin was marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to move in the light. His silver hair was braided with metal rings, and his purple eyes glowed with intelligence and power. He wore armor that was obviously ceremonial but still looked incredibly dangerous. Behind him came other important-looking Vorthacs, including a female in military uniform who carried herself like a high-ranking officer. Rena had mentioned that this would be Commander Hai-Jin, who led the rescue fleet. There was also an older male who moved with careful dignity, and whom Rena identified as General Wanho, her father's most trusted advisor. Kangmin stopped a few meters away from the small group of humans, and his piercing gaze settled on each of them in turn. When his eyes met Tai-Ho's, the young human felt like the alien leader was looking directly into his soul and measuring everything he found there. "Father," Rena said, stepping forward with obvious joy and relief. "I am happy to see you again." The massive war chief's stern expression softened as he looked at his daughter. "Rena, my child, I was told you were dead when your ship was destroyed. Finding you alive brings great joy to my heart." His voice was deep and powerful, but Tai-Ho could hear genuine emotion in it. "I would have died, if not for the courage of these humans," Rena replied, gesturing toward Tai-Ho's family. "They risked their lives to save a stranger during a deadly storm. They showed me kindness and healing when they gained nothing from helping me." Kangmin turned his attention back to the humans, and Tai-Ho felt his knees go weak under that intense stare. "I am told that you, young human, entered the storm to rescue my daughter. Is this true?" Tai-Ho swallowed hard and found his voice. "Yes, sir. I saw that someone was hurt outside our barriers and I could not leave them to die. My parents taught me to help others when they are in need." "Your parents?" Kangmin repeated, looking at Dongsu and Mi-young. "You raised a son with great honor. This speaks well of your own character." Dongsu stepped forward with visible nervousness but kept his voice steady. "We are simple people trying to make a life on this world. Our son did what any decent person would do. We ask for no reward." "And that," said General Wanho, speaking for the first time, "makes the debt even more sacred. You acted from pure kindness, without thought of gain." Commander Hai-Jin moved closer to examine Tai-Ho with professional interest. "You are very young to have such courage. How old are you, human?" 16 years old, ma'am," Tai-Ho replied. 16, she repeated with surprise. "Barely more than a child by most standards, yet you risked your life for a stranger. This shows remarkable character." Kangmin nodded slowly. "In our culture, when someone saves the life of another, a sacred debt is created. When that life belongs to my family, the debt becomes a matter of imperial honor. Young Tai-Ho, by saving my daughter, you have earned a debt that can only be repaid by the full resources of the Vorthak Empire." More colonists had gathered to watch the ceremony, and Tai-Ho could hear them whispering in amazement and fear. Some were recording everything with their personal devices, while others seemed ready to run if the situation turned dangerous. "I do not understand what that means," Tai-Ho admitted. Rena tried to explain, "but I am still confused about what you expect from us." "It means," Kangmin said, raising his voice so all the colonists could hear, "that you and your family are now under the permanent protection of the Vorthak Empire. It means that any who would harm you must first face our entire military. But most importantly, it means that you have earned the right to ask for anything within my power to grant." General Wanho stepped forward, carrying an ornate metal case. "Supreme War Chief, with your permission, I will perform the ceremony of debt declaration." Kangmin nodded, and the general opened the case to reveal what looked like pieces of jewelry, made from the same purple metal as their ships. "These are the bonds of honor," Wanho explained. "They mark the creation of a sacred debt between our peoples." Rena moved to stand beside Tai-Ho and whispered to him, "This is a great honor. No human has ever received the bonds of honor before. My father is declaring that you have the same status as Vorthak nobility." Wanho lifted a pendant from the case and held it high for everyone to see. "By the ancient laws of our people, and by the authority of Supreme War Chief Kangmin, I declare that human Tai-Ho has earned a debt of highest honor through his courage and selfless action. Let all witness that this debt is sacred and binding, until properly fulfilled." He placed the pendant around Tai-Ho's neck, and the metal felt warm against his chest. "Wear this always," Wanho said. "It marks you as a friend of the Vorthak Empire and grants you safe passage anywhere our people travel." Similar but smaller pendants were given to Dongsu and Mi-young, while the gathered colonists watched in stunned silence. Taeho looked around at the faces of his neighbors and saw that many of them were crying. They understood that they were witnessing something that would be remembered for generations. Commander He-jin addressed the crowd of humans. Your colony is now under official protection of the Vorthak Empire. We will establish a monitoring station in this system to ensure your safety. Any who threaten New Busan will face immediate retaliation. One of the older colonists named Dr. Park stepped forward nervously. With respect, Supreme War Chief, we are grateful for your protection, but we worry about what this means for our independence. We came here to build our own society. Kang Min considered this carefully before responding. Your concerns are understandable. The Vorthak Empire does not seek to rule over other peoples. Our protection comes with no demands except that you continue to honor the friendship you have shown my daughter. You will remain free to govern yourselves as you choose. But, added General Wanho, young Taeho must come with us to our homeworld to receive full honors for his service. The debt cannot be properly acknowledged without formal ceremony before the Imperial War Council. Taeho felt his stomach drop. You want me to leave my family and go with you to an alien world? Not permanently. Rina assured him quickly. The ceremony will take perhaps 1 month, then you may return home if you wish. But this honor cannot be refused without insulting my father and our entire people. Mi-young grabbed her son's arm with fear. He is just a boy. How do we know he will be safe among your people? Kang Min's expression became very serious. Human, Mother, I swear by my honor as war chief that your son will be safer on our homeworld than anywhere else in the galaxy. He will be treated as my own family and given every comfort and protection. Dongsu looked at his son with pride and worry. This is your choice, Taeho. We cannot make this decision for you. Taeho thought about everything that had happened since he found Rina in the storm. A simple act of kindness had led to this incredible moment. He was being invited to visit an alien empire and see things no human had ever seen before. It was frightening, but also the most exciting thing he could imagine. I will come, he said, looking directly at Kang Min. I am honored by your invitation and I want to learn about your people. The war chief smiled for the first time, and Taeho was surprised by how it changed his entire appearance. Excellent. You will depart with us tomorrow after you have time to prepare and say farewell to your family. Rina will accompany you to help you understand our customs. As the ceremony concluded and the Vorthaks prepared to return to their ships, Taeho felt like he was standing at the edge of a vast new world. Tomorrow he would leave the only home he had ever known to travel among the stars with aliens who had just declared him their honored friend. The simple farm boy from New Busan was about to become the first human ambassador to one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, and he had no idea how much his life was about to change. The Vorthak Imperial flagship was larger than some cities, and Taeho spent his first day aboard simply trying not to get lost in its endless corridors. Rina served as his guide, showing him to his quarters and explaining the basic layout of the massive warship. His room was bigger than his entire family shelter on New Busan and furnished with luxury he had never imagined. This ship carries 10,000 warriors and crew, Rina explained as they walked through a corridor lined with viewing windows. It is one of 12 flagship vessels in the Imperial fleet and has never been defeated in battle. Through the windows, Taeho could see the blackness of space filled with stars that looked different from those visible from his homeworld. They were traveling faster than light using technology he could not begin to understand. The idea that he was moving between star systems while sitting in comfortable quarters eating alien food still seemed impossible. How long will it take to reach your homeworld? He asked. 5 days at current speed, Rina replied. Korvac Prime is in the center of our empire and well protected by defense stations. You will be amazed by what you see there. Commander Hyejin found them in the observation deck where Taeho was watching smaller ships moving around the flagship like escort fighters. Supreme War Chief Kang Min requests your presence in his private chambers, she told Taeho. He wishes to speak with you about what to expect during the honor ceremony. Taeho followed her through the ship to a section that was clearly reserved for the most important passengers. Guards in ceremonial armor stood at attention as they passed, and Taeho noticed that even high-ranking officers showed deep respect when they saw Commander Hyejin. Kangmin's chambers were surprisingly simple despite their size. The walls were decorated with weapons and banners that told the story of great battles, and the furniture was made from dark wood that reminded Taeho of his father's workshop. The war chief was studying holographic displays showing star charts and military reports. "Ah, young Taeho, please sit," he said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "I wanted to speak with you privately about what will happen when we reach Korvac." Prime Taeho sat down carefully and tried to appear calm despite his nervousness. "I am ready to learn, sir." "The ceremony before the Imperial War Council is very important," Kangmin explained. "You will be the first human ever to appear before our highest leaders. How you conduct yourself will shape how my people view all humans for generations to come." This responsibility felt enormous to Taeho. "What should I do? How should I behave?" "Be yourself," Kangmin said simply. "Show the same courage and honesty that you showed when you rescued my daughter. The War Council will test you to see if you are worthy of the honor debt, but do not let them intimidate you." "Test me how?" Taeho asked with growing concern. "They will ask you difficult questions about your motivations and character. Some may challenge you to prove your worthiness through physical trials. Remember that you have already proven yourself by your actions, but they must see this for themselves." Rina had mentioned this possibility, but Taeho had hoped it would not be necessary. "What kind of physical trials?" "Nothing that will cause permanent harm," Kangmin assured him. "But the Vorthak respects strength and skill. If challenged, you must show that humans are not weak, even if you are not as physically powerful as we are." Over the next few days, as they traveled toward Korvac Prime, Rina helped Taeho prepare for what he might face. She taught him basic Vorthak, customs and social rules. She also showed him combat techniques that focused on speed and agility rather than raw strength. "Vorthak warriors are trained from childhood to fight with honor," she explained as they practiced in the ship's training facility. "They will expect you to show skill and courage, but they will also respect tactics that use intelligence over brute force." Taeho learned quickly that his smaller size and human flexibility could be advantages against larger opponents. On Newbie, Busan, he had developed excellent balance and coordination from years of climbing and working in dangerous conditions. These skills translated well to the martial arts that Rina taught him. General Wanho visited them during training sessions and observed Taeho's progress with interest. "For a human, you learn very quickly," he commented. "Your people may be physically weaker, but you adapt and improvise better than most species we have encountered." "Is that unusual?" Taeho asked. "Very unusual," Wanho replied. "Most species develop along predictable paths. They become strong or fast or intelligent, but rarely show flexibility in all areas. Humans seem to be different." On the 5th day of their journey, Taeho saw Korvac Prime for the first time and understood why the Vorthak were considered one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The planet was covered with massive fortress cities built into mountain ranges that stretched across entire continents. Space stations the size of moons orbited the world, and thousands of ships moved between them in carefully organized traffic patterns. 2 billion Vorthak live on the homeworld, Rina told him as they watched the planet grow larger on the viewing screens. "It has been our capital for over 3,000 years and has never fallen to an enemy. The Imperial Palace where the War Council met was built into the highest mountain on the planet. From space, it looked like the entire peak had been carved into a single enormous building. Landing platforms extended from the mountainside like metal flowers, and defensive weapons were visible everywhere." When their shuttle descended toward the palace, Taeho felt his nervousness return. In a few hours, he would stand before the most powerful leaders of an alien empire and somehow convince them that he deserved their respect. The weight of representing all humanity in this moment was almost overwhelming. "Do not worry," Rina said, sensing his mood. "My father has already declared the honor debt. The ceremony is a formality required by tradition, but the outcome is not in doubt." But Taeho knew that traditions could be more important than laws in some cultures. If he failed to impress the War Council, he might not only lose their respect but also damage the relationship between humans and Vorthax for generations. The shuttle landed on a platform high up the mountain, and they were escorted through corridors, filled with beautiful artwork and monuments to great warriors. Everything was built on a massive scale that made Taeho feel very small and very human. The ceremony hall was vast enough to hold thousands of people, and filled with Vorthak nobles and military leaders. Taeho had never seen so many aliens in one place, and the sight was both magnificent and intimidating. All conversation stopped when he entered with Kangmin, and the attention of the entire room focused on him. At the far end of the hall was a raised platform where 12 Vorthaks in elaborate robes sat behind a curved table. These were the members of the Imperial War Council, and their expressions ranged from curious to skeptical as they watched the young human approach. Members of the War Council, Kang Min announced in a voice that carried throughout the hall. I present to you human Taeho, who has earned a sacred debt of honor through his courage and selfless service to my family. The center figure on the council was an ancient Vorthak whose purple eyes seemed to glow with inner fire. I am Elder Sang-ho, speaker for the War Council. Human Taeho, you have been granted a great honor. Do you understand the significance of what Supreme War Chief Kang Min has declared? I understand that it is a great honor, sir, Taeho replied, trying to keep his voice steady. But I also understand that honor must be earned through actions, not just granted through words. Murmurs rippled through the assembled crowd, and Taeho saw several council members exchange glances. Elder Sang-ho leaned forward with interest. You speak wisely for one so young. Tell us, human, why did you risk your life to save Princess Rina? Because she needed help and I was able to provide it, Taeho answered simply. Where I come from, we believe that we have a duty to help others when they are in danger, even when those others are alien to you, even when helping them might bring danger to yourself and your family. Yes, sir. The right thing to do does not change based on who needs help. Another council member spoke up. Pretty words, human, but words are easy. Actions require true courage. Are you prepared to prove that you possess the strength and skill worthy of Vorthak honor? Taeho had been expecting this challenge. I am ready to face whatever test you believe is appropriate. Elder Sang-ho smiled, and Taeho realized that his willingness to accept the challenge had impressed them. Very well. You will face 3 trials. First, you must demonstrate combat skill against a Vorthak warrior. Second, you must show tactical intelligence by solving a military problem. Third, you must prove your character by making a difficult moral choice. A young Vorthak warrior stepped forward from the crowd. He was tall and powerfully built, with the confident bearing of someone trained for battle since childhood. I am Captain. Bong-ho and I will be your opponent in the combat trial. Do not expect mercy because you are young and small. Taeho looked at his opponent and knew that trying to match strength against strength would be suicide. But Rina had taught him that Vorthak combat was about more than raw power. It was about skill and honor and finding ways to overcome seemingly impossible odds. I do not expect mercy, he replied. I only ask for a fair contest. The crowd formed, a circle around them, and weapons were offered to both fighters. The second trial required Taeho to solve a complex military scenario, using holographic displays that showed star systems, fleet movements, and resource management. Elder Sang-ho explained that this was a real situation that Vorthak commanders had faced in recent conflicts, and they wanted to see how human tactical thinking might approach the problem. Taeho studied the displays carefully, noting that the Vorthak forces were outnumbered and facing an enemy that controlled key supply routes. Traditional military doctrine would suggest either retreat or a direct assault, but both options seemed likely to result in heavy casualties. As he considered the problem, he remembered lessons his father had taught him about engineering and problem solving. The enemy expects you to attack their strong points or withdraw, he said after several minutes of analysis. But what if you ignore their fleets entirely and focus on their infrastructure? If you can disrupt their supply lines and communication networks, their superior numbers become a disadvantage. He manipulated the holographic controls to show his proposed strategy. Instead of engaging the enemy fleets directly, he suggested using small fast ships to attack mining stations and supply depots far behind enemy lines. They will have to spread their forces to protect multiple targets, and that gives you opportunities to defeat smaller groups separately. General Wan Ho studied the display with growing interest. This is not how Vorthak commanders typically think, but the logic is sound. You see the larger pattern rather than focusing only on immediate threats. Humans often have to solve problems with limited resources. Tae-ho explained. We learn to be creative when we cannot win through direct confrontation. Elder Sang-ho nodded approvingly. You demonstrate tactical intelligence that would serve well in our military. The second trial is passed. For the third trial, Tae-ho was presented with a moral dilemma that had no clear right answer. The scenario involved a choice between saving a larger number of civilian lives or protecting a smaller group that included important political leaders. Elder Sang-ho explained that this type of decision often faced military commanders, and they wanted to understand how humans made such choices. Tae-ho thought carefully about the problem, knowing that his answer would reveal something fundamental about human values. In my culture, we believe that all lives have equal worth regardless of social position. I would try to find a way to save both groups, but if forced to choose, I would protect the larger number of civilians. Even knowing that the political leaders might be more important to the long-term stability of their society? Asked another council member. Yes, Tae-ho replied firmly. A leader who would expect others to die in their place is not worthy of leadership. A true leader would make the same choice I just made. The council members exchanged glances and several nodded with what looked like approval. Elder Sang-ho stood and addressed the assembled crowd. The human Tae-ho has demonstrated combat skill, tactical intelligence, and moral courage. The War Council finds him worthy of the highest honors that can be granted to a friend of the Vorthak Empire. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything Tae-ho could have imagined. He was formally granted the status of imperial friend with all the rights and privileges that entailed. A beautiful ceremonial sword was presented to him along with documents that proclaimed him an honorary citizen of the Vorthak Empire. But before the celebration could continue, properly urgent messages began arriving from the communication center. Commander Hyejin approached Kang Min with obvious concern and whispered something that made the war chief's expression turn dark with anger. What is happening? Rina asked her father. The pirates who attacked your ship have launched a major assault on the New Busan colony, Kang Min replied grimly. They learned that you survived and they want to capture you or kill the humans who helped you. Tae-ho felt his blood turn cold. My family, my friends, they are in danger because of what I did. No, Kang Min said firmly. They are in danger because pirates are cowards who attack the innocent. But they have made a grave mistake. By attacking those under Vorthak protection, they have declared war on our entire empire. Elder Sang-ho stepped forward. Supreme War Chief, the War Council grants you full authority to respond to this attack. Use whatever force is necessary to protect our human friends. I want to go with you, Tae-ho said immediately. Those are my people under attack. I should be there to help defend them. Kang Min looked at him with surprise. You have just been granted the highest honors of our empire. You could remain here in safety and comfort. Why would you choose to return to danger? Because those people are my family and my responsibility, Tae-ho replied. The honor you have given me means nothing if I abandon them when they need help. Rina stepped forward. Father, I request permission to accompany Tae-ho. The debt of honor extends to me as well, and I wish to help defend those who saved my life. Granted, Kang Min said with obvious pride in both young people. We depart immediately with the full imperial fleet. The pirates will learn what happens to those who threaten the friends of the Vorthak Empire. The journey back to New Busan took only 3 days, with the entire Vorthak fleet traveling at maximum speed. Tae-ho spent the time working with Vorthak tactical officers to plan the defense of his homeworld. His knowledge of the colony's layout and capabilities proved invaluable in developing strategies that combined human resourcefulness with Vorthak military power. When they arrived at New Busan, they found the colony under siege by a massive pirate fleet. The human defenses were holding but barely, and it was clear that they could not survive much longer without help. The colonists had managed to get most civilians into underground shelters, but the protective barriers were failing under constant bombardment. There are over 50 pirate ships, Commander Hyojin reported. They outgun the colony defenses by a significant margin, and they have already landed ground forces near the settlement. Taeho studied the tactical displays and saw immediately what needed to be done. The pirates expect the Vorthak fleet to attack them directly, but what if we coordinate with the colony defenders instead? My people know this terrain better than anyone, and they have been preparing defensive positions for weeks. What do you propose? Asked Kang Min. Let me contact the colony and coordinate a combined assault. While your ships engage their fleet, I can guide ground forces to hit their landing parties from unexpected directions. The colonists know every cave and hiding spot on this continent. The plan worked better than anyone had expected. While the Vorthak Imperial fleet engaged the pirate ships in a spectacular space battle, Taeho led a combined force of Vorthak Marines and human colonists in a series of coordinated strikes against the enemy ground forces. The pirates had expected to face frightened civilians, but instead found themselves fighting seasoned colonists who knew every advantage the terrain could offer, combined with Vorthak warriors equipped with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. The combination was devastating. Taeho found himself in the thick of the fighting, using everything Rina had taught him about combat, while applying tactical lessons learned from years of survival on a dangerous frontier world. He saw his father and mother fighting alongside alien warriors to protect their home, and felt a surge of pride in both his family and his species. The battle lasted only a few hours. The pirate fleet was completely destroyed or captured, and their ground forces surrendered when they realized they were surrounded by superior forces. The leader of the pirates was taken alive and would face Vorthak justice for his crimes. As the fighting ended, Taeho stood on a hill overlooking New Busan colony and watched Vorthak medical teams helping wounded colonists while engineers worked to repair damaged buildings. Humans and aliens worked side by side as natural allies, and he realized that everything had changed forever. Kang Min approached him as the sun set over the battlefield. The debt of honor has been fulfilled, young friend. My daughter's life has been repaid through the protection of your people. Does this mean the alliance between our peoples ends here? Taeho asked. On the contrary, Kang Min replied with a smile. Today we have seen what humans and Vorthaks can accomplish when we work together. I believe this is only the beginning of a partnership that will benefit both our species. Elder Sang-ho, who had traveled with the fleet, stepped forward. The war. Council has authorized me to offer you a permanent position as human ambassador to the Vorthak Empire. Your people need someone who understands both cultures to help guide this new relationship. Taeho looked out at the colony, where humans and Vorthaks were already beginning to plan new defensive installations and trade agreements. He thought about his parents who had raised him to help others, and about Rina, who had become a true friend despite coming from a different world. I accept, he said. But I want to spend half my time here on New Busan with my family, and half my time on Korvac Prime learning about your people. If I am going to represent humans properly, I need to understand both sides. Agreed, said Kang Min. You will be the bridge between our peoples and help us build something stronger than either could achieve alone. As the stars came out over New Busan, Taeho realized that his simple act of kindness during a storm had led to something much larger than he had ever imagined.